Hey, Ben here with H90 Productions, and welcome to the H90 podcast, where I give you updates on everything that's happening with H90 Productions. Today is Sunday, October 26th. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the night mode version of the podcast. This is the first time I've done any sort of lighting setup, and it's feeling like the end of October, and it's getting to be Halloween here. That's not the intention. This was the only time I had to record this podcast today. So this is episode 14. And it's the first time I've done any sort of lighting setup, and I definitely need to work on it because I was kind of scrambling to put this together. It's not anywhere near where I will hope it would be. But normally I have some nice, beautiful, natural ambient light coming in here through a window right over here. So I have a little LED light set up here. It's like this big. Could definitely use something a little bigger and broader over here. But right there. One of my goals for this podcast is to limit my filler words. I think this will be a great training ground to do it on this podcast, and I'm going to do my best not to and and use filler words. It's going to feel a little weird. Right there, I almost just did it, but I think, it'll be a good place to practice. And I'm also going to try to do this under 10 minutes. That's never happened, but that's always the goal. So the agenda, or what I'll talk about on today's episode, is kind of what's happened over the last couple weeks. I have a very exciting casting update to share. So if you are a voice actor and you listening to this podcast, you're hearing it first. That's what I like to do on this podcast. I like to share information first on this podcast. So it's a little reward for the people who are listening. But I haven't made any announcements about this, but I'm going to talk about a casting opportunity for Mango 2. And then I'll get into the updates on post-production on Mango 2 and then post-production on Mango 1. So let's start with the last 2 weeks. Oh my gosh. This is one of those moments in this kind of journey that has just been like a grind. And that's a big reason why I'm doing this podcast and trying to bring you in real time to talk about like what's happening day to day, or, well, I guess I do this every 2 weeks, but like trying to share, in real time what this is like, not only trying to make an audio drama, but also kind of starting a production company, and the first releases are these feature-length audio projects. But I would love to film a feature-length, a live-action movie one of these days. This is so hard not using the filler words. I'm really struggling with it, but bear with me. I feel like I'm just speaking so slowly and trying to think about every single word versus just kind of free flowing it. But maybe that will get better with practice. So there was. It does help me kind of try to find what I was talking about, though. One of the goals of this podcast is to kind of share what's happening in real time. And I was trying to say that the last 2 weeks have just been, I don't want to say a shit show, but it's just been really challenging, just in terms of scheduling and how much time I've been able to put into H90 and the Mango project, which is basically nothing. So last week we had a Columbus Day on Monday. So I had a nice long weekend, rolled into that week just feeling great. And then Tuesday, I found out that I was needed in New York for a shoot happening on Friday with a location scout happening on Thursday. So basically Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm scrambling to start producing this thing. It's basically, we had to produce it from scratch, finding a crew, scheduling the scout, working with the location. And it just was a lot in a short amount of time. And flying to New York, one of the problems is you lose 3 hours. So in order to get to a scout on Thursday, I needed to try to be there by Wednesday. But unfortunately, I was doing so much producing here in LA that I wasn't able to fly out on Wednesday. So I had to take a red eye Wednesday night arriving Thursday morning in New York. And I can't remember the last time I took a red eye. I cannot, they destroy me. I just, that lack of sleep is really an issue. I don't sleep super well on planes. Some of these people, I was just so impressed. I mean, maybe they're taking something. I don't know. They're just out the whole time. I wish I could do that. But flew out of LA Wednesday night, arrived Thursday morning in New York, tried to get a little bit of sleep. Oh, pro tip, by the way, if you do that, try to book the hotel the night before. That's what I did. So when I landed at like 7 a.m., I got right to the hotel and tried to get a few hours of sleep before I was up and started kind of the day with producing, and had a scout that day, producing the rest of the day. Next morning, get up early, get to the location. We had our shoot, and then I had a flight scheduled after the shoot to come back to LA Friday night. Now, coming back to LA is nice because you gain back 3 hours. So I left at like 7:30 and I was back by 10 or 11. But of course, after the 48-hour whirlwind shoot in New York, I came back and I woke up Saturday and I was feeling like something in my throat, something in my face. I was getting sick. And I spent that weekend just doing nothing. I did a little bit of work on Mango 2, but I was just very fatigued. And then this whole last week was basically trying to get back on my feet while dealing with a week at work, which was probably one of the busiest weeks I've ever had at work. So it just all snowballed into these last couple of weeks of just a lot of time spent away from this project and Hard 90, which is, that's just the way it goes when you're trying to kind of start something on your own. I just have to do this in whatever time I have. But that was a filler word. But I feel like I hadn't done one for a while. So it's hard to start the sentence when I stop because I just want to be like, and then roll into it. So the last 2 weeks I haven't been working on the Mango stuff as much as I've wanted to. And we're getting to the end of the year here. It's the end of October. So I've been feeling very stressed about it. And this weekend, I finally feel like I'm back to almost full health. I kind of have to be a little careful today. My throat is still a little sore. But that's just the way it goes. I had to remind myself in some notes, like not to be so hard on myself because you get so focused on the things you want to do and the things you need to do. And I had to like force myself to take a look back at the year and say, listen, like you've done so much this year and you have to be proud of that. And you're getting to the end of the year and then you're going to start it all over again. 2026 is going to be a really exciting year with the Mango 2 release. So long story short, it's been a lot of like just trying to go easy on myself and not be too hard on myself. And I'm really proud of everything that we've put together this year. And I think there was a filler word. God, now I'm like totally aware of it. I think something that's changed is I was originally kind of I had a date in mind to release Mango 2. And I've been working towards this date. It was early 2026. I haven't mentioned the date or anything because I just kind of knew that there's no way it's just going to end up being a moving target. But the planning and strategy has all been kind of geared towards that specific date. So I've been really stressing about, I need to start thinking about a trailer. I'm not even like, I'm not close with the edit yet, but was thinking about, gosh, I got to get a trailer out. I've got to make cast announcements. There's all these kind of little things I need to do. So what I've done to just keep it simple and reset is that my release, that when I release this is not going to be determined by a date anymore. It's going to be determined by when I feel good about the full edit. So meaning I'm not going to like jump into a trailer right now or jump into cast announcements or anything like that. I'm going to focus on the edit for the rest of the year, which includes pickups, which includes this little casting I'm going to tell you a little bit more about, and includes editing and post-production. And once I feel good about all that, then I will turn my attention to a trailer and all the other kind of promotional things I want to do, interviews with the actors and that kind of thing. So that's helped me relax about it and just be like, I'm doing as much as I can. I can't move any faster. And there are things like life gets in the way. You get sick, there's work, there's a lot of other stuff happening. So that's been a nice little bit of a reset over this last couple of weeks where I've been sick and just feeling down about not being able to spend time on this. So that's helped quite a bit. So I think that kind of sums up what's happened the last 2 weeks. What I want to shift to is this casting. Now, I'm not going to have too many details right this moment, but I'm just introducing it, and just keep your eyes peeled, because for Mango 2, there's about definitely three small roles I need to fill. These aren't major roles, they're smaller roles. And I thought it would be a really fun idea to have a kind of broader casting. So the roles I've already casted for and I've already recorded with the actors has all been based in LA. And that's something I learned from Mango 1, is that I just like being in the same space as the actor, directing them, working with them. It just works better for me like that. Can I do it remotely? Absolutely. But if I have the choice, I'm going to do the bulk of the recording with actors in person, face to face at a studio in Los Angeles. But I thought it would be fun for these smaller roles to broaden it up a bit, because they're smaller roles. You don't need as much time with the actors in person. And these could totally be something where you could record it remotely. Like maybe we get on a Zoom call and I can help direct you through some of it. So I just thought it would be fun to broaden up the cast, or broaden the geography of where the actors are coming from. Now, if you are listening to this internationally, unfortunately, you will need to be based in the United States, and that has everything to do with like mostly financial things like tax stuff, legal stuff. So you got to be based in the US or working out of the US, but you don't have to be in Los Angeles, and we can open it up a little bit. So excited to share more about that. The goal is to have something up by the end of this week. So I would really love to put this casting out in like a week or two, so there's enough time before Thanksgiving to receive submissions. And then maybe after Thanksgiving, make a little announcement about who booked the roles. So keep your eyes peeled for more information about that. What I'm planning on having is just a page on my website, a casting page with the role information and then submission buttons. And just a heads up, before, I'm going to be repeating this the whole, like, over and over again, but please only submit for roles that you are actually a fit for. I can't tell you how annoying it is when you're doing a casting and people submit for roles that they're not even close to being in the same age range or gender. It's just not. I know this is voiceover, and I know that people can do accents and that type of thing, but for this project, I'm looking for people who are they're not doing accents. They're not doing characters. It's very much kind of what your natural voice is. And I talk about that a lot in some behind the scenes videos, but it's mostly because this isn't a cartoon. This is like meant to feel like a live action project. I can still remember people who have submitted for things that aren't a good fit. And I'm telling you, it's not, I think you're believing that it's, oh, just let me kind of spam him and, I'll show up everywhere and he'll end up choosing me for something. Like, that is not going to happen. I don't know if that ever happens with anybody who does casting. It's just a very quick way to kind of put you on a list where, you know what, they didn't understand the instructions. So how can I possibly work with this person? So more to come on that, but I'm very excited to open up the casting to more people. We can be recording with someone anywhere as long as you have your own setup. That'll be in kind of the little form you fill out, like what kind of setup you have and that type of thing. So stoked to share more about that. We're already at the 15-minute mark. I'm never going to do these under 10 minutes, guys. Quick updates on Mango 2 and Mango 1. As mentioned, Mango 2 has been slow going, but I do have all of my scenes built out where I can now start thinking about making the reels. And if you've been following along, you know that I've been putting together rough edits of each scene, or scene by scene. Each scene is its own kind of timeline. Now that I have all the pieces in there with the pickup recording I just did a couple weeks ago, filler word. That's only been like 3 or 4. I think I'm keeping it under 5. I now have in each scene some VO, some music, some sound effects. Certain scenes have more sound effects than others. But what I can do now is start building my reels, which is basically grouping, let's say, for example, the first 10 scenes together is reel 1. The next 10 scenes together is reel 2. And you might be wondering, like, what difference does that make? Well, listening to it in chunks like that now kind of really helps me with flow, how the story is working. And I should probably have like 5 or 6 reels. And then I'll take all those reels and put those into its own timeline, and that'll be the master edit. So that's really exciting because now I can kind of listen to it through and focus a little more on timing. Because when you're listening to scene by scene, I'm just listening to till the end of the scene, and I kind of have to jump to the next project, the next timeline, and pick it up again. But listening to it all together is just a completely different experience and vitally important to shaping the story. And I'll be kind of feeling how this thing's working all together. Now, it's definitely working like scene by scene. There are some scenes where I'm listening to it over and over again, and I'm laughing my ass off because of the performances. But hearing it all together is going to be a completely different story. So that's coming up on Mango 2. I'm going to be doing a little bit of this casting thing for Mango 2. So my goal is basically by the end of the year to just feel good about the edit. I probably have more sound design to do, more mixing to do, but I'll feel really good about it. And that will help me drive decisions of what's happening when we roll into 2026. Filming interviews with the cast. It'll be like podcast style. Really looking forward to that. So we'll have some of that released before I release Mango 2. And then, filler word, darn it. It's like when you're thinking about something, it helps to be like, what other things would be happening in 2026? Just promotional stuff. The trailer, that would be a big one, cutting the trailer. I already kind of have an idea of what the trailer is going to be, but I actually have to go in there and cut it. And waiting till I have a better idea of what the full edit is going to help that. So that's Mango 2. And then Mango 1, this is what I was kind of beating myself up about. I really wanted to share last weekend the making of video that features my recording session with John Eddings, who plays the role of Uncle Henry. It's so close, but I'm going to need a little bit more time just because of now my schedule. I'm back to work on Monday. So it's probably going to happen next weekend. We'll see, maybe sometime during the week, but that's a really fun making of video, kind of showing what the experience was like recording with John Eddings for the role of Uncle Henry. And then after that, I think I'm going to do the casting session with Hannah McBride for the role of Summer Cassidy. I think that's going to be the next video after that. But more to come. So a lot of things happening. Wish I had more time, but that's just the way it goes. And one more filler word. The Dolphins. Okay, that means we're at like the 20-minute mark. Yep, 20 minutes right there. Okay. So I think that's it for this episode. Really appreciate you following along. Sorry, there's a little kind of scatterbrain there, but I think a lot of this has to do with me getting over being sick, but also trying to force myself not to use filler words. That was an effort. Almost did it right there, but I think I'm proud of how it all came together. So lots more coming. The next thing I'll be sharing, I think, will be more information about, excuse me. I think the next thing I'm going to be sharing is more information about this remote casting for 3 kind of smaller roles in Mango 2. So that's going to be it for this episode. I'll see you again in 2 weeks with another episode, but I will definitely be in touch before then, barring any major setbacks, about casting stuff. So stay safe, stay tuned, and thanks for watching.